Hello everybody and welcome to a new Python tutorial. In today's Python tutorial, I'm gonna be talking about for loops in Python. And for loops in Python are kind of structure in Python that we use to loop around different kind of stuff like strings, numbers, and lists, and a lot of stuff. So for loops are very essential, and you might want to learn them because they'll come in very handy when you're programming in Python. So let's get started. But before that, you might want to consider hitting the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on my future content. And well, let's get started. So for learning for loops, the best way is to see some examples and see what is going on and how are they working. And that's exactly what I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna show you some examples and explain how they're working, and you will kind of wrap your head around that. So for creating a for loop, you just say for and then you specify a variable. So this variable will have different values each time you run through it. So you can name the variable whatever you want. In my case, I'm just gonna name it letter for right now. And then you specify what you wanna loop around. So like if you wanna loop around a string, you wanna loop around a list, you wanna loop around a number. So for let me show you how to loop around a string. You just say for, then specify a variable, and then you just say what you want to loop around. So in this string, I'm just gonna say clear coding, and that's what I'm gonna loop around, and then I'm just gonna print letter, and now if I run it, you can see it displays clear coding. So what's happening here is that each time you're running through the for loop, the letter is getting a different value. So the first time we ran, it got C, then it got L, then it got E, and then further on. So that's how that's working, and so that's how actually for loops work. Now I showed you how this works, and you can change the variable to anything you want. You can say name, and you can just say name. It will be exactly the same. You can see, and you can name it anything you want. And well, that this is how for loops work. Now let me show you an example of a list. So I'm just gonna create a list here. I'm just gonna say names equals to, and then let me just uh, type in bunch of names. John, I could say George, I could say Toby, and then now to loop around this, you can just put names here, and that will work. And now you can see it's displaying John, George, and Toby. Each time we're running, it is getting first then George and then Toby. That's how that's working, guys. And so what if suppose you wanna get like the length of this? So you could say len, and you could say names. So this thing will get the length of what is the length of this list. It will get that, the number. And suppose now you wanna loop through some names, I mean numbers. So for doing that, we have this function called range, and then you can put the number you wanna loop through. I could say 10, and now it will print from 1 to 10, numbers from 1 to 10, excluding 10. It Because it's printing numbers between 1 to 10, so it won't print 10. So that's how that's working. And you can also specify like 3 to 10. Now it will print between 3 to 10. It will again exclude 10, but it will display 3 and all the numbers between that. You could also say 100 and all that kind of stuff. You can see it loops around 100 till 99 actually. So that's how that's working. Now what if you wanna so let me show you that. Then, and you could say names. Now it will display like how many elements in this list. So you can see it shows 0, 1, 2. Because yeah, there's 0, 1, 2. And if you don't know like index, in Python, when you create a list, you have indexes for all your elements, and it starts from 0 and then goes on forward. So George would have 1, Toby would have 2, and John would have 0. So that's how that's working, guys. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I showed you some basic examples of using for loops in Python. And yeah, so let me just review over what I just did. So we create a for loop by just saying this for, and then we specify a variable which gets different values each time you run through it, and then we just specify what we want to loop through, and it will just loop through that and print it. And yeah, that's how that's working. And for numbers you say range, and for strings you just put in strings, and for like a list you just put in like their name. So that's how that's working, and it's pretty much it. And well, you have learned the basics of for loops here, and this was just the bare basics. And I hope you liked it. And well, this is it. And please consider hitting the subscribe button for future content, and I'll see you in the next one.